Hey there, y'all. Merry Christmas and welcome to the kitchen. Today's episode is going to be brunch appetizers, and I can't wait to show you these recipes. The first one we're going to work on is one of the ones that we have to have in our family for it to be Christmas. Really, honestly, let alone Christmas. We start this at Thanksgiving. We're doing sausage balls, and I'm just going to add one little ingredient to this very shortcut, simple recipe that's going to make it special for the holidays. So this usually is a 3-ingredient recipe, and we have a shortcut, simplified version for all of it. Bisquick biscuit mix. You can make yours from scratch with some flour, baking powder, but you don't have to do that. Get the Bisquick. That's what you want on Christmas morning. Short and simple. I've got a pound of sausage here that we're going to get in our bowl. This has just been brought to room temperature. It's been out of the fridge for about an hour, so it's easier to handle. And then this is a pound of shredded cheese. We're only going to use 12 ounces here. We've got a few ounces for another recipe later in the day, but right now we're going to use about 12 ounces of that for our sausage balls. So what I'm going to do, and my secret ingredient is a little green onions, just for a little Christmassy flair. I've got a pound here, like I said, of just breakfast sausage, and I'm going to get it all into my bowl. You can use whichever kind that you like. You can get breakfast sausage that has a little kick and some heat to it. You can get some with sage in it. I have just a regular mild breakfast sausage here, pork sausage. And this is yet again another type of, quote, meatballs, I guess. I've done a lot of meatballs lately, but it seems to be a popular thing in my house. So I'm going to keep rolling with it. Got my little garbage bowl over here to the side. All right, now into our pound of sausage, I'm going to rinse up my fingers, and then I'm going to get 2 cups of this biscuit mix. Now, in the world of biscuit mix, you don't have to buy a box quite as big as I do. But when it gets to be the holiday season and we're rolling out things like sausage balls, cobblers, casseroles to keep everybody happy when things get busy, I just go through a lot of it. So I got the big boy this time. I'm going to measure out 2 cups of that. And honest to goodness, my actual full cup measure doesn't fit into the box quite as good without making a mess. So I'm going to use my little measuring cup. I have lived and I have learned and I have made my messes. So we are going to keep this easy for me. So I've got a 1/3 cup measure here, and I'm going to go in 6 times with my biscuit mix. This is something that my mom always has made. It's the minute my kids walk into my parents' house, they expect this. They don't even need it to be breakfast or brunch time. They're just like, Mimi, where's the sausage balls? I make them sometimes too, but usually when we travel for the holidays, we get our fill at her house, and then I just randomly make them throughout the year a few more times. A couple of times we have stayed home for the holidays and visited either for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I've had to make them myself too for the kids, but usually they get their fill of them at Mimi's house, and I don't even have to make them. They just do request them occasionally. So I'm going to leave 4 ounces of my shredded cheese. You know me, I went ahead and shredded my cheese, but you can shortcut this. 12 ounces, just go ahead and get yourself a 1-pound bag and leave yourself about a 4-ounce amount in the bottom. So I can just eyeball this and do some math and get my 12 ounces in and leave my 4 for my frittata later in this episode. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is, just because it's Christmas and I want it to be a little bit festive, I've got some scallions here. I'm just going to chop those and get them into my bowl with my other ingredients right here. You can use the whites and the greens for this because we are going to cook this. So those whites will get nice and tender in here. And scallions are very tender anyway. They don't have a lot of toughness to them like a typical onion, so they are quick and easy to cook. And I just like a little pop of color at Christmas time especially. This is not a Mimi move. This is a me move. Okay, now I'm just going to get my rings off, get in there with some clean hands. And I also have a couple of already prepared baking dishes back here, just lined with foil to save myself on dishes. The less dishes you can do at Christmas time, the more time you get with your family. So think about things like this. Unless you are in the kitchen with your family, and that is a very good thing. I encourage you, get your kids doing dishes. Mine help me all the time. You can imagine how much I would have to do dishes as much as I cook if I never had somebody else help me in the kitchen. I'm going off with this guy too. I've learned my lessons with those bangly bracelets in the kitchen when I'm trying to mix meatballs and do dishes and stuff. Don't jump out of the pan. So really what you're going to do here is you're going to just mix all of your cheese and all of your biscuit mix and all of your sausage together. This is going to take a little bit more of a forceful hand than a typical meatball will because we're incorporating a flour here. And that's going to take a little bit more work than just getting meat mixed with some ingredients like breadcrumbs and eggs and all that kind of stuff. So you just mush this together until your flour is completely combined. And the superhero here is going to be the fat in your sausage. That's what's going to incorporate your flour into your sausage balls and make this come together. It's going to look like it's going to be a way too much flour, but in just a second, the heat from your hand and the fat from the sausage and a little of the fat from the cheese is really going to help this start to come together. All in all, I'm going to go ahead and say this says on Mama's recipe that it serves 15. And I don't know what that even means because my children go in and they eat seven or eight sausage balls at any given time. So this just makes a sheet tray of sausage balls. Depending on what kind of eaters you have in your house, they may last a day, they may last 3, or they may last a few hours. These days we have not 1, not 2, but 3 adult boys in our house. We have a 20-year-old and 2 22-year-olds, plus my husband. Then now my girls are on pretty much a good eating train for the most part. And especially my oldest girl, my 6-year-old, she is like, can I have some sausage balls? And goodness, we just have to go, we make these a lot. So I think as the years go on, it's definitely not going to get to be just a Mimi thing anymore. Okay, so this is what we have. And I'm going to get to rolling something that looks about like a little small ping pong ball. We don't want these huge sausage balls because they are going to probably get a little crusty on the outside before they get done on the inside. And then you want them to still be a little bit tender, not dried out. So we definitely don't want to make these huge. I say never any more than golf ball size. So I'm going to get to rolling these, and then we're going to get them in the oven for about, I say 25 minutes. I don't like to go too terribly long because, again, we don't want to dry out our sausage balls. Go ahead and roll them up like this, and there you go. So let me talk you through. I'm going to go cooking spray on my baking sheet before I get started. Let me talk you through, while I'm doing this, the other few things that we have going on in the kitchen today. So I'm going to teach you a delicious Cajun chicken salad. And that's a very typical brunch item in the South. To have something that's a little bit lunchy, but a little bit snacky at the same time makes everybody happy. So what I've done is I've already got my chicken in the oven. It's seasoned in just some Creole, or you can use Cajun seasoning. Something you already have on hand if you have it. If not, just grab a good seasoning blend from your grocery store. You don't have to make that at all. And then just bake it off in the oven. Or you are perfectly capable of getting a rotisserie chicken, easy peasy, and just seasoning that rotisserie chicken up with a little bit of Cajun seasoning before you start making your chicken salad. Nobody's going to know the difference. I just had some chicken on hand and I had the right seasoning, so in the oven it went. A lot of times meal prep things can be something that you do, and then there are ways that you can do it with the grocery store. So you just need to know your schedule, know your grocery store options, and know your own capabilities. So for me today, it made sense to grab some chicken out of the freezer or the fridge, season up. This is 2 good sized chicken breasts that I have in there, and that's going to be plenty for our chicken salad. If you buy a rotisserie chicken, they're a little bit smaller, and I find that they have a little less breast meat than a typical chicken breast does right out of the grocery store. So you may want to use your whole rotisserie chicken for this recipe. One of the things that's very important around the holidays is to take just another little second, especially if you're taking shortcuts from the grocery store, and think about presentation. So that's a little bit what we're going to focus on later in the episode today. We're going to look at how to present these things to where they feel festive and very holiday-ish, just like adding a little scallions to your sausage balls. And then after that, we're going to make a delicious and easy frittata, which basically is like quiche with no crust. It's an egg dish with a little bit of cream, some cheese, and whatever fillings that you like. But for me, I'm keeping in line both with the things my family likes to eat and things that look festive. So we're going to do a bacon, cheddar, and scallion frittata. And we're going to just have that green from the scallions, the red bacon. It's going to be delicious. So I'm going to get the rest of these rolled, and then I'll bring you right back here when it's time to get them into the oven. See you in a second. Okay, y'all, my sausage balls are ready. In they go, and out comes my chicken. It's perfectly cooked, so we're going to let it cool for a few minutes so I don't have a hard time shredding it when it's time for chicken salad. We're going to get our sausage balls in for about 25 minutes or so, and then we're going to go ahead and get started on our delicious and simple frittata. Now, like I said, frittata just means crustless quiche. That's a mouthful. So think, when you're thinking frittata, think an light, fluffy, cheesy eggs full of your favorite things, but none of the crust. So easy peasy. I'm going to get a quick bowl here, and we're going to take 8 eggs for our frittata, and we're going to add in a little bit of milk or cream. I have some whole milk. I'm just going to splash in about 1/4 of a cup of milk for my 8 eggs. In this case, we are using some shortcut ingredients. I like to have really good quality bacon crumbles, that's real bacon on hand all the time for shortcut recipes. So that's the bacon that we're using in here. By all means, you can take 4 strips of regular bacon, cut it into little strips or lardons, fry that up real quick, and get that into your dish if you'd like to take that step. But we're talking shortcut style because we want to simplify our Christmas morning here. So I'm using those bacon crumbles. I've already shredded my cheese ahead of time, so that's done for us. And really the worst part of it, the most taxing part of it, is cracking these eggs right here, which is just fine. A lot of these things are things you can get your kids on hand and help you with in the kitchen. So if that's something that you've never done before, Christmas time, when they have a lot of extra time free, is a great time to do it. Just wipe my hands off. Where'd my little towel go? Here we go. Wipe my hands off a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and get our little bit of cream. Now, you can use cream, half and half, whole milk. I'm going to get about 1/4 of a cup of whole milk in here. And what that does is just really add to the really fluffy, creamy factor of your dish. I'm going to get that whisked in just a little bit, and we're going to incorporate some air into our eggs at this point, and then we're going to add the rest of our filling. Anytime that you're doing eggs like this, I like to poke my yolks with my whisk and then just get a good wrist action in there. This is incorporating air into your eggs, which helps with the fluffiness. But poking those yolks just really helps you along. Get in there. This is also a good job for boys with muscles. But I'm building my muscles, so I need some things like this to do because I don't often have time to just go to the gym and work on them on purpose. The kitchen is my gym. It's my therapy session. It's my gym. It's the whole 9 yards for me. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with some more of our cheddar. This is 4 to 5 ounces of shredded sharp cheddar. You can use whatever cheese you like in here, but cheddar is my choice. I find that sharp cheddar really just has that big oomph of punch of flavor where a lot of cheeses leave you wanting a little bit more. I'm going to go in with a good 1/2 cup of bacon crumbles. You see how I measured that, okay? 1/2 cup. Do it with your heart. There's some things you need to do with your heart and some things you don't. 1/2 cup of bacon crumbles can be with your heart every single time. And I'm going to get 3 scallions. So I'm going to take these 3 scallions, I'm going to give them a little slice, and then I'm going to save a few of the beautiful toppers to garnish our dish at the end. I also have a little parsley on hand that I'm going to throw on top of a lot of our things at the end to make them just beautiful and festive. So when you're doing that, I cut them in half. Let me move this over a little bit so you can see. And line them up just like this so that once you're passing through them one time, you're doing double duty because I did my scallions, 3 scallions in half. So I'm going to go through one time and get all of these done in no time. And the amount of time it would have taken me to chop just one. Or half of one, really. So my green end's okay. Over here, a couple of these look a little wilty, so they're going to go in the garbage bowl, and then I'm going to save a little bit of my green out here for the garnish at the end, and then go in with your scallions. Rule of thumb, if you're going to garnish something, I say always put it in the dish too, so you're not lying to the people. Tell the truth with what's in your dish, okay? It's just a sign of what's to come. I'm going to add in a good little sprinkling of salt, 2 teaspoons or so here. We do have bacon and shredded cheddar, so we don't want to overdo the salt. And then I'm going to go ahead and get in some freshly cracked black pepper. About 10 or 20 turns is what I say. A good teaspoon of black pepper is what you want here. And you're welcome to zhuzh this up in your house with whatever fillings you want. I've done all vegetable frittatas and done things like asparagus and tomatoes and stuff like that. I'm going to give this one other little quick mix before we get into our pan. You can make this your own however you like it. And what the fluffy eggs are going to do is they're just going to rise up above the filling ingredients and just have this fluffy factor. Okay, here we go. For the season, normally frittatas are circle, but I have a little Christmas dish that I want to use for this. So I'm going to get some cooking spray in my Christmas dish. I hope it all fits. I haven't used this dish in a little while. It will fit. And I'm going to go ahead and get all of my yummy ingredients in here. Come over here, guy. There have been years that I have just totally gotten so busy that we barely even used our Christmas dishes at all. But I'm trying to be more intentional about that. All right, use my best tools in the kitchen, my fingers, get all that in there. Yummy, yummy. Thank you for coming. Okay, my quiche is done. It looks absolutely beautiful. So I've got my oven to 400 degrees. It's just going to go in for about 20 minutes until it's puffed up and done all the way through. No jiggles or anything like that. See you in a little bit. All right, now we can get started on some chicken salad. Now for my chicken salad, this is a Cajun chicken salad. I've got just some Cajun seasoned chicken breast here. I baked off in the oven. I'm gonna let that get on a plate so I can let it rest just a little bit more while I'm doing my other ingredients. It's been out for a few minutes, but not quite long enough for me to touch it confidently yet. I mean, I touched it confidently, but I don't want to touch the inside of it quite yet. Okay, now let's get started on our chicken salad. So what's going in our chicken salad along with our Cajun seasoned chicken is some red onion. I've got some celery here that's been washed, a little bit of parsley. We're going to save some of this for garnish too, and a little pickle action. We're going to use both pickles and pickle juice in this chicken salad. A little extra Cajun seasoning just to kick it up. Stone ground mustard, and as always, I have to have my Duke's mayo. It's sin if we don't use Duke's in my house, so Duke's it is. There are a few others out there on the market that are, I would say, okay, but I have a hard time coming in the house with anything but Duke's in my family. I get side eye. So I'm going to go in with a good little bit of this onion. This is a pretty big size onion, so I'm going to use about a third of this guy and save the rest for later. All in all, I need about a half a cup of red onion here. Anytime you're taking the skin off this red onion, go ahead and get down below the main one on top, because it's going to go ahead and give you the least amount of time holding that onion in your hand. If you're fooling with that papery top too long, you're going to end up crying too much. And then I'm going to also tell you, if you need a sharp knife, I'll link this one in the description. You have to have a sharp knife to get your onions into the bowl with the least amount of tears. It makes a really good gift too. Look how pretty that is. All right, guys, don't run away from me. All right. Get that into the bowl. There's a few tears. Red onions are actually the most powerful. I'm going to have to wipe my eyes in a minute, y'all. Got to get done. But here's the tip. If you are going to get red onions or any kind of onions in your bowl and be rescued from the tears, you have to clean the onions off the board when you're done. So rinse your hands, wipe your tears, wipe your blade in that order. And then we want to go ahead and wipe down our cutting board. Y'all can't say we haven't cried together on this episode. I'll be your shoulder to cry on when you're chopping onions. Okay. I actually got caught off guard the other day by a green onion. It never happens almost ever with green onions, but somehow I got into a green onion that was super powerful. And next thing you know, I wasn't even trying to hurry because it doesn't usually make me cry. And I was a teary little mess. I'll be all right. So I've got one stalk of celery here that I'm going to bust through, and then we're going to get the other one that's a little bit smaller, but you need about a half a cup of celery as well for this dish. And I actually like the amount from that one stalk, so I'm just going to use it. And then a couple of tablespoons of parsley is going to get chopped here. trying to recover from that onion. I'm doing my best. Maybe the Lord just knew I needed to cry for a minute. All right. I don't know about what. We got a lot to be thankful for, but sometimes a good cry is helpful. Okay, in with almost all of this parsley, but I'm going to keep about a tablespoon out for garnish. And then I'm going to put that to the side with my green onions I have for garnish. And then I'm going to go in with some pickles. Now, for this, I've got some little baby pickles that are called gherkins. They are dill pickles here. I don't love sweet pickles in my chicken salad. I'm going to go with at least a fourth, but more like a good third of a cup of pickles. And we are going to use this pickle juice as well, just a splash. I'd say 2 tablespoons is what you need. But it brightens up and wakes up my chicken salad like nothing else does. So get in there with the pickles. If I'd say my most prominent ingredient in my chicken salad that I have to have is a pickle, easily. Other than mayonnaise, Duke's mayonnaise. I bet one day I'll be getting a sponsorship level for my devotion letter. Okay, here we go. Now, after that, we're going to get our dressing made. Now, for my dressing, I need some Duke's mayonnaise, about half of a cup, or mayonnaise. I'm not going to be a hater on any mayonnaise that you choose. Just put enough in there. Whatever's in your cabinet is just fine, or fridge. I'm going to go in with a tablespoon of stone ground mustard. You can also use Dijon. A little bit hopped out onto my cutting board. He wanted to hang around with me for a little while. And then I'm going to put in another tablespoon of Cajun seasoning or Creole seasoning here. And that's going to be my salt, my pepper. It's got everything in it that I need for this dish. And then my chicken. So let's get this mixed up, and then we're going to get our chicken in. Oh, I almost forgot. That splash of pickle juice I kept talking about. We got to get that in there. Really what that does is it loosens up the dressing a little bit and makes it liquidy enough to do exactly what it came for. All right. Get that all mixed around. Get you in the thank you for coming because we don't need you today. Like I said, I've done chicken salad so many ways. I've put jalapenos in my chicken salad. I've put tomatoes in my chicken salad. I've used lemon pepper seasoning. I've even done it with like leftover taco seasoned chicken, and that was not half bad either. I just went the whole Tex-Mex route and left the cumin in there and all that, and it was pleasantly good. It was a pleasant surprise. Okay, so here we go. Our chicken, like I said, it's very seasoned, very browned. I love a good Cajun chicken. I just seared this in my pan with a little bit of avocado oil on both sides, and then finished it in the oven for about 15-20 more minutes. And it just has so much flavor this way. But like I said, if you want to use a rotisserie chicken, all you have to do is take it off the bone. I would use the whole chicken instead of just 2 chicken breasts because these breasts are a little bit bigger. You take it off the bone, sprinkle it with some of that Cajun seasoning or Creole seasoning, whatever you have, and just zhuzh the chicken's flavor up a notch. You can also get seasoned rotisserie chickens. You may find a Cajun seasoned rotisserie chicken, and that would be a great choice. It still has some heat to it, but it's not too bad. I always rest my chicken, so I would not be touching this if it had not rested for at least a little while. It just really helps it maintain its juiciness. Somebody just asked me this past weekend, I was teaching a cooking class in person, and they said, why do you have to let your meat rest? What is the logistics about that? Like, what is the science behind it? And it's molecules. So when something is extraordinarily hot, the molecules are running very fast, like super fast, like they're going crazy inside the chicken. But once it's allowed to cool down a little bit, your molecules slow back down, which they're in those juices. And when it slows back down, the juices redistribute throughout the meat, and the more of the juices stay with the meat and not on your cutting board. We have learned ways to rescue that, though, by adding more moisture back into our chicken, and that's saving our pan juices, using some chicken stock, or in this case, we're going to make it nice and juicy with our dressing for our chicken salad. Yummy. I could just eat a pile of this. I'm going to taste another bite. Cajun seasoning and Creole seasoning is just a one-stop shop for a punch of flavor. Super delicious. Okay. Wipe my hands off just a little and get this all stirred together. And then we're going to show you how to put it on a beautiful platter. Perks of being the chef. I say it all the time, perks of being the chef. Now, in this case, I will have to say that Creole seasoning on the outside of this chicken, it is an ingredient, a standout ingredient in this dish. The sun came out, yay! What y'all might not know about my kitchen is this studio kitchen that I teach in is a converted sunroom. It's a Florida room. So one whole wall on this whole side and a little bit of that side is all windows. So on days that the sun's not out, it's a little cooler in here, but it's not nearly as bright. And the minute the sun comes out, it's like, the lighting is perfect. So I just noticed the lighting just got so much better in here. Okay, there is my delicious Cajun chicken salad, y'all. If you don't think that your family's going to want that on their brunch, you just make it and you send it to me. I'll take it. All right, here we go. Now, I've got a beautiful platter over here, and we are just going to get this nice and festive for Christmas. So that's where my lettuce comes in. All right, so I'm going to put some, move this over while I'm working towards the goal. Okay, so we're going to put some beautiful lettuce leaves all around the base of our dish. And what I serve this with is I use a different assortment of crackers usually. And then I like to have something like some little sandwich rolls. I have crescent rolls today, or croissants today, which are going to be a really pretty addition. You could also put a little bit of real Christmas greenery underneath your lettuce leaves to add a little extra Christmas punch. Now that I say that out loud, that sounds like something my mom would do. She's the decorator in our family. Usually I just say, Mama, tell me what to do to decorate. Okay, I'm a little better on plates than I am in the house. Then I'm just going to spread out a little bit more of our parsley underneath to give another base layer of decoration. And it's always good to, like I said, garnish with what's in the dish because you're telling people what's in there. And then I'm going to get my chicken salad just heaped right here in the middle. Right there in the center. I could eat this by myself, I do bet, over the course of a day. This is one of my husband's favorite things. If he hears I'm making chicken salad, which he did before he walked out the door today, he's one happy camper. A little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to rinse this hand. I'm going to get my crackers and my croissants around to present this. A little garnish on top. All right, so my little garnish. I've got some parsley here. Beautiful. Then I've got here's a shortcut. Buy your croissants. This is the time of year to do that. Don't go trying to do the things that you really don't have time to do. So I've bought my croissants here. They're going to go around one side. And we're kind of just going to nestle a few croissants in one spot and then a few croissants in another spot and then crackers in between. I like for people to have the choice to do what they would like to do with their dish. And brunch is so casual that you may come and see somebody getting a plate now, and in a couple hours you may see somebody getting a plate later. And that's just what Christmas is all about. Lazy days with the family. And then I like a Ritz cracker, or these butter crackers, but I prefer the roasted vegetable seasoned kind. They just pack a punch of flavor all on their own. So put some of those out in each of these little corners. And then you'll be ready to present that on your buffet. See, this was so easy. There was nothing difficult about this. Even if you don't buy your chicken the rotisserie style, this only took just about 40 minutes from starting my chicken and getting this on the table. Get my crackers in here. You may start something in your house and have people requesting this in their lunch boxes. And I love having chicken salad on hand for lunch boxes. Okay, there we go. Very rustic, yet elegant, inviting, and delicious. Okay. I don't know how far I can tilt this, but isn't that gorgeous? All right. In just a second, it's going to be time to take out my sausage balls and my frittata, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, let's get our sausage balls out and get them ready to serve. Now, these are absolutely beautiful. They are browned on the outside. Look at that. Yes, they're browned on the outside, crispy on the bottom. That's going to be one happy family. They're still tender on the inside, and that's what's important. You don't want to dry out your sausage balls by overcooking them. You don't want them to be so incredibly small necessarily or large that it takes a lot of overcooking time. This little ping pong ball size works because they do puff up just slightly. So where we started with a little bit like ping pong golf ball size, they've inflated just a little bit. They're absolutely beautiful. I love that fleck of green in there, y'all. If y'all haven't gotten a link to my Shortcut Suppers cookbook where I teach how to do this at dinner time, y'all grab that because that is a great last minute gift to give somebody. All you have to do is download it, and you can even print it if you would like to have the physical copy. But it's 15 recipes with videos just like this, plus grocery lists, the recipes written out for you, and even my tips and tricks written down on beautiful card stock if you get them printed. Okay. There's those, and now it's time to get my frittata out. Now my frittata has puffed. I saw it when I opened that door, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Anytime you have the colors green and cheesy and bacony in a frittata, it just looks super inviting. Look at that, y'all. These recipes are going to make your family so satisfied this Christmas morning or all holiday season long. If you want to follow me and learn directly from me in Mama Whitten's kitchen, I'll put the link below to my cooking school. It's an online cooking school where I teach practical cooking skills for ages 12 and up. Then I also have a whole library of shortcut suppers in there. I'm going to put the link below to my knives as well as my Shortcut Suppers cookbook. I'll have another one of those coming out after the first of the year, so y'all get in line and get ready for that. And until next time, Merry Christmas, happy cooking, y'all, and go make these.